Sports has for life. I mean, sports is the greatest metaphor we have in terms of dealing with life. Because, even if you listen to music, music will give you guidance, right? That you can then meditate on and think about how you would apply it. In sports, you have to apply it in the here and now. I mean, you're faced with challenges moment to moment. You're faced with pressures and anxiety and communication or the lack thereof and all this other stuff. Like, it's in the moment. So you have to live it. And when you practice those things, you become better at it. But I just feel like in this day and age, our children have become less imaginative about how to problem solve. And parents and coaches have become more directive in trying to mandate or give orders or teach kids how to think and teach kids how to behave.
And I really enjoyed hearing about your different projects and new businesses. And I was wondering if you've had to tone down your competitiveness and your approach in the new work environment.
Yeah. More than a little bit.
Yeah.
No, well, like I said, basketball is different because it's such a direct competition. And what we do now, there isn't. The competitiveness that I bring to work every day is really helping people, in a sense, be competitive with themselves, right? If you're animating something, or you're writing a screenplay, or you're composing a piece of music, is that the best you can do? Right? Don't ask me. Don't say, okay, do you approve? Don't ask me. I'm not the musician. I'm not the composer. You know, right? So the competitiveness is more from an individual perspective. Is this the best you can do? And if the answer is yes, then off we go. What I try to do is just try to be still and understand that things come and go, emotions come and go. The important thing is to accept them all, to embrace them all, and then you can choose to do with them what you want versus being controlled by emotion. A lot of times I've seen players, even myself, when I was younger, being consumed by a particular fear, and to the point where you're saying, okay, nah, it's not good to feel fear. I shouldn't be nervous in a situation, like, nah. And it does nothing but grow versus stepping back and saying, yeah, I am nervous about the situation. Yeah, I am fearful about the situation. Well, what am I afraid of? And then you kind of unpack it. And then it gives you the ability to look at it for really what it is, which is nothing more than your imagination running its course,
And I want to kind of go into the story side and how you went into the storytelling and you went and get it. Guys, this guy won an Academy Award. He's a basketball player. How the hell does that make any sense, right? Wins a freaking Academy Award, right? So, alter ego. Sometimes we are so worried about what other people think about us. It's like, oh my gosh, what if they think I'm crazy? What if they think I'm over obsessive or competitive? And what if this is like, you're too much? This is just not healthy for you to be thinking this way, right?
Yeah.
How did you get your mindset into this alter ego to be comfortable being Black Mamba? Like, how did that happen?
It's a good separation for me, emotionally, to be able to put myself in a place where at practice or when I'm training or during games, I switch my mind to something else. I switch my mode into something else, right? For me, it's the equivalent of Maximus Decimus Meridius in Gladiator picking up the dirt, smelling the dirt. It's go time, right? So that was my mental switch. It was like an actor getting ready for a film. You got to put yourself in that cage. When you're in that cage, you are that character. And then when you leave there, it's something completely different. But when I'm in that cage, bro, don't fucking touch me. Don't talk to me. Just leave me alone. There used to be certain games like...
Because no one probably would assume that would be the way you would express it.
Sure. Well, no, I mean, it's that's the trick, isn't it? It's finding what you love to do. I mean, we talk about hard work all the time. It's like, man, if you got to get up every single morning and remind yourself how hard you need to work, you probably need to choose a different profession. Because that shouldn't be there. I wake up in the morning excited to get to it. If I'm not training, I'm missing it. If I'm not watching a game of basketball, I miss it. There's no place I'd rather be. And if you have that feeling, then you're truly doing what God has put you on this earth to do.
Great advice. We've got a bunch of graduating students who are probably going to their first full-time job. Do you have any advice for students entering an organization and being the youngest person, not in the room, but in the whole company?
Well, I mean, in business, it's a little different. I think the best way to prove your value is to work, is to learn, is to absorb, to be a sponge. But you always want to outwork your potential. You know, as hard as you believe you can work harder than that.
What's your process for making a decision? Do you have a flow of how you go through making a decision?
Depends on the decision. Depends on the decision. If we're talking about, a basketball decision where, you've got to, read a certain coverage or something like that, I mean, a lot of that comes from the pre-work and understanding what their defensive package is and how to put teammates in certain situations. So, for example, if you look at players nowadays that are charged with taking game-winning shots or making game-winning decisions, and you look at the play and then you look at it and say, okay, well, that shooter was there, the double team came, and, the player couldn't do anything but pass the ball, right? Well, that's because they didn't do the pre-work. Yeah, you got to lead by example. As parents, you got to lead by example. If you want your kids to do whatever it is they want to accomplish in life, you have to show them. You can't. You got to show them, and that's what I tried to do.
Decision. When I say decision, how is if you're looking at somebody that you're sizing up, or if you're looking at somebody to go into business with, or if you're looking at a big investments you got to make, what is the decision-making process there? Do you call? Is there first you do your own research? You take this much time. You call an advisor. Is there a system you follow?
It's pretty simple for me. It's do you understand the business? Is it a business that you can help in some form or fashion? What are the barriers of entry to that business? And then the entrepreneurs themselves, the company itself, right? Do they have a culture that you believe is sustainable? Are these leaders people that you believe in? Are they people that are obsessives? And in turn, have they created a culture of obsessiveness? So I tend to look at those 4 factors, and that's it. That's
big right there, by the way. I don't know if you guys caught that right there. That's pretty massive right there.
Oh no, I don't want to focus on the negativity.
Yeah.
But actually what you're saying is if you're aware of it, of those known unknowns, then you can actually break them down yourself.
Well, yeah, it's just like the same thing for any great movie. You have to have the antagonist.
Yes.
A strong villainous character will really drive the narrative along. If you don't have that, you have nothing from which your hero has to bounce off of. That villain could be, maleficent. It could be something inside of you. It could be whatever, but you have to have that clear antagonist that's driving the narrative forward. And so in this sense, it's the same thing. You pick apart the negative, and from that, you can then move forward.
It's interesting because most athletes and retired athletes focus their business efforts around building their own brand, their personal brand. And certainly, you have a brand, you have a shoe, but you've chosen to do something else, something that's more bold, something that you really haven't done before. Can you tell us why you're doing this, why you're going into a creative endeavor like Granity Studios?
Because I love doing it. I mean, it's that simple. You have to sit and ask yourself what is truly going to get you up in the morning, what's going to keep you up at night. And when you find what that answer is, you stay true to that. I've built a brand for the last 20-some years, personal brand, which is great. But that is not where our focus is going to be for the next 50 years. It's what we are doing now. Are we taking a big risk? Yeah, but I think that if we focus on one thing and do that one thing exceptionally well, we won't fail at that one thing. So sometimes you got to put the other stuff to bed and focus on what you believe is the core of the company, and that always starts from what you love to do the most.
What did you know and learn at the end of your career that you wish you knew at the beginning?
Understanding empathy and compassion. Because as a young kid, when I came in the league, it was like, I'm driving this way, and either you're going to be on the train or be on the track. Right? There was no such thing as understanding that people have lives outside of the game, which apparently I did not. But like if I understood that at an early age, and it helps me as a leader to communicate better. I came to understand that later. And getting to know people on a personal level. What are their fears? What are their insecurities? Right? What are their dreams and ambitions, desires, those sorts of things? When you come to understand that about a person, then you can help them reach the best version of themselves. So I wish I'd known that earlier.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.